So who knows a woman's beauty the best?
The woman herself.
Yes, the woman herself knows best. Every woman knows her own beauty best. And you need to show her that you also see her beauty. Emphasize it. Tell her how beautiful she is, how well dressed she is. Admire her. Be delighted by her. Does this mean that he truly feels this way? No. But if he does this, he will begin to feel it later. I told you yesterday how I apologized to my wife and then realized I was wrong. Similarly, when I praise my wife, she blossoms. She becomes very beautiful naturally. And this is truly beautiful because a woman has beauty. You just need to give her space to relax in the relationship, to feel lighthearted, and she immediately blooms. She feels good. But what do men often do? They keep pointing out that they are unhappy with the woman constantly. Everyone demands their own thing. Every woman is capricious, wants things her way. The man wants things his way. There's a constant battle over who should be happier. And if people get stuck in this, they lose love. Love is a selfless force. It doesn't tolerate any disputes. Accept the person as they are and influence them with your kindness by coming closer or moving away. How do you help someone close to you grow? It's an art. You should know that a man doesn't respond to words at all. He only understands actions. For instance, one woman told me, I kept saying to my husband, don't drink, don't cheat. As soon as I started living separately, he became as gentle as silk. Just yesterday, a woman told me her story. These are your problems, women. You should have stepped onto the shore of separation sooner. Then he would have immediately become as gentle as silk. But you waited until the end, when everything inside had burned out towards this person. And then you ask, how can I live with him now? Well, that's a problem. If a man does something wrong, a woman should immediately stop talking to him. If he's completely out of line, live separately for a while. Set a condition. If you care about him, treat him kindly. Don't search for good where it already exists. If a person is already grateful to you in their heart and you go to the shore of separation at that time, they will come to you and apologize. But if he's not grateful, that's your problem. It means you haven't invested enough in the relationship with this person. Why do you listen to my lectures? Because you are grateful. This means I can speak with you. We can build trusting relationships. Gratitude is flowing. It's the same with someone close to you. Put in the effort. Behave correctly with this person. No one is forcing you to suffer. If something is wrong, you can create distance. But being at a distance is hard. Because we are all dependent, we are not self-sufficient. And self-sufficiency is hard work. It's not just about work, home, and family. It's jogging, bathing in water, being in nature. For instance, today you got acquainted with the energy of water for the first time, and you are amazed by it, but you could actually live like this. You could be friends with the energy of water. This gives self-sufficiency. Try offending a person who has befriended the energy of water and who takes cold water baths regularly. Try insulting them. They won't care. Because when a person is connected with the energy of water, they don't take offense. They are fulfilled. They feel no resentment. They just look at you and smile in response. When a person does static exercises, they develop patience. They can tolerate those close to them. When they engage in prolonged, continuous movement, they remove all obstacles in life. They feel no barriers. Obstacles are disruptions in air energy in the body and the psyche, but with prolonged movement, obstacles disappear. I have no obstacles in life. I achieve everything I need. If there are obstacles or if something blocks me, I just think about them while I run, and they disappear. One young woman had a block in her air energy that prevented her from getting married. I told her, you need to run. She wanted to get married so badly that she ran alongside me. For the first time in her life, she ran at my pace. Have you seen how I run? She ran at my pace and cried. I said, maybe you should slow down. She said, no, I'm running with you. I said, all right. The blockage was in the fourth energy layer, and she ran 12.5 kilometers next to me, 13 kilometers. And when she broke through the fourth layer, I said, that's it. You've broken through the blockage. Now it will be easier for you to get married. She walked away joyfully, feeling happy. This is called the will to win. So of course she will get married. What else can I say? If someone has that strength inside, running through 4 layers with Dr. Torsunov, can you imagine? She ran more than 12 kilometers at my pace. For the first time in her life, she started running, and she ran the whole way. She just wanted to get married. She broke through the blockage completely. I told her, now you need to keep walking or running according to schedule until this blockage is fully gone. Social strength depends greatly on self-sufficiency. There is psychophysical self-sufficiency. To help it develop, we follow the methodical guide and do the healing practices. Psychophysical self-sufficiency is a great thing. You should know this. It brings inner peace, calmness, cheerfulness, strong willpower, good mood, and good health. You don't worry about anyone. You feel great. You feel happiness inside. That's what these healing practices bring. Nothing more is needed. Then there is social strength. It depends on love for people. You need to have female friends, but not those who gossip and say, "Your husband is bad, leave him." Those are not friends, those are witches. Real friends are those women who also work on themselves. To find real friends, create a club and be friends with those who come to listen to lectures. Those are your friends. When your husband behaves badly, you go to the shore of separation and talk with your friends. They support you, you feel better, then you reconcile with your husband. This is how a person should live. Self-sufficiency depends on your relationship with God. When a bad period comes, destroying the family, you pray. You know how to pray and you have a lot of experience. This is how you overcome your fate. If you lack energy, do healing practices. If the relationship is breaking down, go to the shore of separation and get support from girlfriends, but stay kind to your loved one. Love lives only in kindness. If you start to respond with anger, love is destroyed. Even at a distance, stay kind. The husband should not see that you are angry with him. Why do people get angry? Because they stayed too close to each other for too long. It's like toasting bread. If you leave it too long, it gets burnt. Why does a person get angry? They're burnt. You've over-roasted them. When people get too close and act wrong, they burn each other. Then they're angry, resentful, walking around feeling hurt. They are burnt. But if you had gone to the shore of separation earlier, you wouldn't be burned. When a close person doesn't behave properly, you take a step back and move a little further away. When my wife starts being capricious, I immediately move a little further away. She asks, "Why aren't you talking to me?" I say, "I'm afraid there will be a quarrel." She says, "That's fair." And I say it kindly. I don't let it escalate to that point. As soon as something starts, I say, "We've got a spark going between us." She says, "There's no spark?" I say, No, there's a spark." And that's it. I leave. And she knows I'm leaving not because I wish to hurt her, but because I know that we can't communicate like this. We solve things easily, calmly. If not, then it's time for the shore of separation. Every couple has sparks. Love is a very hot energy. It's very hot by nature. If something is off, the trouble starts immediately. When it does, go to the shore of separation.
And what if there are two small children? How do you go to the shore of separation?
My dear, have I already given you an orange?
No.
Let's fix that. Pass her an orange. You speak to me so demandingly as if I owe you an orange.
A tangerine.
I got it wrong. My fault. What else should I give you? Is everything okay now? Good. Now ask your question kindly.
Dr. Torsunov, how can I keep distance from my spouse when we have two small children, 4 and 6 years old? I want to reach the shore of separation.
The shore of separation doesn't mean leaving your husband for a week and going to Sochi. The shore of separation means talking to him a little less emotional entanglement, less attention, and living a bit more independently. It's not about moving out or leaving completely. The shore of separation is located right inside your apartment. Did you think it was in America? Or at least in another apartment? No, two shores meeting and separation exist within the same space. That's it, my dear. Now I'm giving a lecture. There are many of us. I gave you a tangerine. Now listen to the lecture. So you see, it's a light style. I'm keeping it light. She's kind of intensifying the situation and I'm calming it down.
Not all men can do that.
You liked it, didn't you?
I'm training my husband to do the same.
My dears, rule number 1, don't train your husband, train yourself, because it's impossible to train someone close to you. You need to accept the other person as they are. After these lectures, don't go home and say to your loved one, "Dr. Torsunov said this about you in the lecture." No, you only need to change yourself, that's all. And that's the right approach. Work on yourself and change yourself. Then your loved one will automatically become better, because you need to look at everything from the perspective of fate. What you deserve is who stands beside you. Accept what you deserve. This is what it means not to complain to God. Why do we keep repeating, "Hallelujah, thank you, thank you"? Because that is where victory over fate begins. Let us be quiet, please. Look at me and breathe deeper.
What should I do if someone is trying to educate and train me?
If someone is training you, then nod. Agree. My wife trains me too. I come home. I give lectures here. She gives them at home. I think karma returns. Everything I do with you, my wife does with me. She also tells me, be quiet, that's it. I said so.
If a husband is like a lamb at home, then everything is fine.
My dear, you have your lamb, my wife has hers. Everyone gets what they deserve. My wife tells me I have good family karma according to my horoscope, and you have bad karma. That's why everything happens this way. So, my dears, we are studying relationships. It's a complicated topic, but once you understand the laws, it gets easier. You need to gradually incorporate these laws into your life step by step. Start by setting one goal. For instance, respect. Achieve it. Use a light style. The rule is, if we switch to emotions, everything falls apart. Don't switch. You'll ask, but how will the person understand then? This happens through acceptance first, then the shore of meeting and the shore of separation. A woman understands through tenderness, care, distance, and the rock. There is such a rule of the rock for men. What is it? When a woman gets emotional and behaves badly, a man must remain calm. He must never show emotions. He must never try to prove or explain. He just needs to look at her kindly, although he can agree or disagree. He must behave kindly and carefully and show her that he is different, rock solid, calm, kind, and grounded. This is how he helps her to live. These are ancient teachings. This is a system of the shore and the river. She is the river, constantly changing and flowing. Women's moods change all the time. A woman wants to enjoy life. Life is also a river. It's feminine energy. Children, nature, and emotion are all feminine energy. All relationships are also feminine energy. Everything we see around us is feminine energy. It flows. And the man? He is the shore. He is the steady force shaping the flow. A man determines the rules of life and relationships. He limits the river, while the river always tries to spread out. It constantly erodes the shores. It tries to undermine them. She provokes the man, so to speak. But the man should remain imperturbable. He must stay firm, calm, and not pay attention to female emotions. Once my wife told me, we are not compatible, we should divorce, I never loved you. I was thinking that we were heading toward a divorce, but the next day she came to me and said, my dear, my love, I'm so happy to see you. I asked, but yesterday you were saying something different? She answered, well, I was in a bad mood. I decided to say something to make you feel uncomfortable. You can't be thrown off balance so easily, so I need to say certain things to affect you. Nothing else works on you. Raise your hand, ladies, who do the same. Look how many women raise their hands. They all turn out to be the same. They feel the need to provoke their husbands. They behave this way and say such things. Later, she told me something interesting I've reflected on ever since. If I don't believe in my own words and what I say in those moments, why do you, a reasonable man, believe them? I thought to myself, that's it, I get it, no questions. Now, when a woman, my wife, says something, I don't believe it. I stay calm. I don't pay attention. I treat her kindly. She calms down, then changes her mind. So a man must be like a rock. The shores should not be eroded because a woman permanently flows. She has one thing on her mind, then another. A man should always remain calm. When a man is like a rock, calm and solid, the woman begins to respect him very much. She feels that she has support. She feels that he never loses his balance. He is calm. He is firm. His psyche is solid. She knows he won't collapse. This doesn't mean he's against her or indifferent. He truly wants to help her. But when she loses her balance, he simply doesn't pay attention. He stays centered.
What if I'm telling my husband something important, and he acts like a rock?
It's very important for a woman to understand that any words you say should be said with lightness. If you start showing emotions, you erode the shore. You throw the person off balance when you get emotional. When you get emotional, issues don't get resolved. As soon as a woman turns on her emotions, a man should behave calmly. He should stay calm. When a woman calms down, comes to her senses, and starts communicating affectionately, then anything can be discussed. This means that your husband doesn't have contact with you yet. Apparently, you've burned him badly somehow. You're saying that your husband doesn't hear you. This is a very common phenomenon in family life. Many people live with each other but absolutely don't hear each other. Raise your hands if this sounds familiar. Many people have this. The reason is the lack of knowledge. There is no lightness in relationships. Everything is serious. There's no meeting and parting. And when that's missing, it means you're burning each other. I see it. You're burnt by your husband and he's burnt by you. That's it. And so you're both burnt. That's why you have no real contact. He's a good man, kind, faithful, and caring. Overall, he is a good person, but you've burned each other. You had too many arguments. You both lacked the understanding of how to live properly. You don't accept each other's character. You both have strong principles, but when people's principles become stronger than love, the family falls apart. Having principles means, I refuse to accept this person as they are. That's where victory over fate begins. After all, God gave you this person as a test, and you rebel. You don't want this test, so your family will start falling apart. Do you think my wife has an easy character? I just accepted everything. You should study these things. Yesterday we talked about how men and women have an inner and an outer world. Inside, a woman is like a stone. She is like a rock. Many women don't even realize it. They think they are tender and soft. That's how they perceive themselves. But inside, a woman is like a stone. She has a firm, immovable psyche. A woman intuitively feels she has this immovable psyche. Even when she just meets a man, she is observing him to understand if he can handle her or not. That's the question, her central point. She observes him and assesses whether he can handle her or not. If she feels he can't handle her, she loses interest. She doesn't want to deal with him anymore because she senses there won't be happiness in life. She needs him to handle her, and he doesn't even know what exactly he is supposed to handle. She doesn't show this. At first, a woman behaves very gently. She pretends everything is fine. Women are naturally very diplomatic. They behave very cunningly at first. They are so kind, soft, and gentle. And he thinks, wow, life with her will be amazing. But this is just the beginning, the early summer of our love. Outwardly, a woman is very delicate, compliant, soft, tender, and kind, but inside she has a firm character. How can you understand this? How to understand that a woman is like this? Where is this visible? Sometimes the inner nature of a woman slips through and becomes visible. How can you see this? Look at little girls. Up to about 4 years old, girls' outer energy layer is not yet formed, and so they behave very firmly, persistently, and strongly. They even fight and hit boys. These little girls have a fundamental, strong, firm psyche. Only later do they start to behave more softly. What about little boys? Up to the age of 4, their psyche is very soft, pliable. They are like this, right? Who here has a little boy? This is how he behaves until he's about 5 years old. Only around 5 does the male firmness start to form, and a boy gradually becomes persistent. Before this age, he's a complete pushover because a man's psyche is actually soft inside. A man has a very soft, pliable, and easy psyche inside. But outside he comes across as very harsh, unyielding, tough, even dangerous. A woman fears this outer part of a man's psyche. You see it in childhood, you see it in old age. Around 65 years, men's and women's outer energy layer begin to melt. Old men become kind and good. They don't argue with anyone. They behave calmly. But what about old grumpy ladies? That's a whole different story. It is a special form of life. They push, shout, and demand. It's terrible to watch. All those tender, sweet, affectionate girls later become old grumpy ladies by 65. Their inner part of the psyche comes out, and suddenly they become frightening people. After a meal, a person's outer energy layer weakens and the inner strengthens. A man who has just eaten becomes kind, soft, and nice. You can do whatever you want with him. But what about a woman? When a woman has just eaten, it's better not to go near her, especially while she's eating. She eats after everyone has eaten already. She prefers to eat alone because that is when she eats calmly. When my wife eats, she closes the kitchen completely so that I don't enter. When a man is falling asleep, his outer energy layer weakens and he becomes kind. Look at his face when he falls asleep. He is like a baby. When a woman falls asleep, she looks gloomy. You shouldn't touch her. Try to approach her when she's falling asleep. You will see what happens. When a man wakes up, his outer energy layer is not yet turned on. You can stroke his head and say, "Get up, my dear." He will ask, "Huh? What? Yes, okay." That's it. If you tell a woman to wake up, she will just turn to the other side. She doesn't care. Waking a woman is risky business. This inner energy layer is very firm in a woman. It is solid and unyielding. So how should you talk to a woman? You should never touch her inner energy layer. You should never come close to her inner energy layer if you start to talk seriously with a woman. When a man starts a serious conversation, her outer layer falls off and only the inner remains. She becomes like a rock, unyielding, and releases her emotions. That's very dangerous. So always speak tenderly, affectionately, carefully, gently. Never try to prove anything to a woman. You need to resolve everything gently and softly. When you behave affectionately and tenderly with a woman, she understands what you're saying with the very depth of her heart. How to do this? For example, your wife has hurt you and you are feeling resentment. That's not the time to talk. First pray, perform ascetic practices, and calm down until you start to feel that you've already gotten used to this situation and your wife's behavior. Then jokingly, gently, and tenderly explain what you need to say. She will understand you immediately. She will have no obstacles to understanding you. When you behave kindly with a woman, knowledge immediately enters her heart. She understands everything right away, deeply. But if you feel your wife is doing something wrong and you start pressuring her, she will resist. This pressure will clash with her inner mental state, her inner mental nature, and she will rebel against everything you suggest. Even if it's the absolute truth, she will still rebel. A woman will never accept pressure. She will never accept rudeness and harshness. She only wants affection and love, especially from a close person. She doesn't care about any knowledge or truth. She's not concerned about any of it. She only needs affection and love. That's it. Always communicate with her from this point of view, and she will always accept you, right?
Yes, of course.
You liked it, didn't you? Now I'll speak about men.
Talk about them too.
All right, fine, but you won't enjoy it as much. This is roughly how one should treat a woman, with great kindness. Why do relationships take time to develop? Because they're often filled with emotional wounds and burns. It takes about a year for them to heal. If you choose a light style and treat a woman gently, softly, and kindly, then when she starts pressuring you with emotions, you simply go to the other shore and pay no attention. Wait until she calms down, then come close to her again. Do this consistently. This is how it works. And remember this principle: no one is forcing you to suffer in your relationship. If your beloved partner doesn't want to understand you, no need to suffer. Step to the shore of separation and withdraw gently. Behave kindly, care from a distance, heal your wounds. If you maintain this light and easy style, act respectfully toward your man. See your man with understanding, listen to his words. Then if he becomes arrogant, just distance yourself. Keep a sense of humor with your loved one. Don't deliver hard truths. Simply hint at their problems playfully instead. For example, your husband comes home drunk. Greet him kindly by saying, "Ah, my dear little drunkard, you're home. Take off your pants, they're wet and smelly. Let's wash them." Now he is walking around in his underwear, and immediately he feels remorse and shame in his heart. He feels that his wife is holy, while he is a fool who got drunk. He will feel this way, deep down. But to behave this way, you need to accept the person as they are. Understand that he didn't just decide to get drunk for no reason. There is a deep cause. He drinks because he can't do otherwise. He simply lacks the mental strength to resist drinking. These are serious things that you need to know. Sometimes if a person forces themselves not to drink, they may have a mental breakdown and a tantrum may start. This happens because the lack of water energy is so strong that the person needs to drink. Otherwise, they cannot live normally. For women, it works differently. Women are the better half of humanity. They cannot afford to misbehave. Men often tend to misbehave. They sin outwardly. If they lack energy, they might drink, lash out, or cheat. But when a woman lacks water energy, she retreats. She sits in a corner, doesn't want to communicate with anyone, and avoids people. She feels unprotected and simply wants everyone to leave her alone. She needs to rest from people. This is how the lack of water energy affects a woman. She doesn't drink, but she talks to her husband very irritably, depleting his water energy. This might lead him to start drinking. You need to understand, there are female flaws and male flaws. Female flaws can seem charming. Male flaws all seem bad, but both are equally damaging. If a woman destroys her family, her husband will find a wife within 6 months. She, however, might be alone for 5 years. Family is rooted in female energy. That is why God punishes women more for their incorrect behavior. Women are given more opportunities. They have a softer, more compliant character. They have more influence in relationships, more possibilities. A woman may choose not to use these wisely and leave her husband. Women have this illusion when they think, "I'm so beautiful, I'll find someone else." But now, almost all men have been killed. The rest have gone abroad. Who are you going to look for? It's an illusion. Men are the worst half of humanity. Some are drunks, others are debauchees. Who exactly are you going to look for? All good men are either already married or in high demand, with 10 women competing for each one. Do you think there are only a few beautiful women like you? A man can easily find someone 20 years younger. The competition is fierce, and still you hope? 2 bricks are falling from a roof. One says, "I'm worried." The other replies, "Don't worry, what matters is that the person is good." Here's another joke. A lion and lioness sit together. They had a fight. This is about how a lion should treat a lioness. The lioness turns and asks, "Are you going to ask for forgiveness?" He says, "I will, once I come down. I'm waiting." They sit a little longer. Then she asks again, "Well, have you come to your senses? Apologize?" He turns and says, "I'm sorry, dear, that you bit me." Now think, if a wife is in a bad mood, who suffers most? Everyone, because a woman is designed in such a way that she cannot tolerate feeling bad. If she feels bad, the husband is always to blame because he exists to make her feel good. A woman thinks that their husband appears in her life to make her feel good, so why does she feel bad? That's how her logic works. She looks and thinks, "Why do I feel bad? Explain to me why I feel bad. What's the matter?" But the truth is, her mood swings are influenced by the planets. A woman's mood changes constantly. It's similar to waves in a river. A man's mood doesn't change. It is more stable. A woman's psyche is designed in a way that her mood is always in motion. She may feel happy now, but she doesn't know what will happen in 20 minutes. She may get upset and then feel good again. When a woman is in a good mood, she loves everyone, serves everyone, cares for everyone. Everyone around feels good. Love is about moving toward each other. It's about laughter and lightness. You need to learn to do all this correctly, knowing how to say the right things gently. Do you think no one will understand otherwise? You need to understand that love is about speaking kindly and educating with humor, like I'm doing now. Are you offended? I was joking with you. Did you feel offended? No. And do you know that when I joke, I'm educating you? Isn't it better when someone speaks to you gently, tenderly, with warmth, when educating you? It feels good this way, doesn't it? Much better than being bluntly told something, scolded or blamed, isn't it? So we're studying the topic of love. Let's fix all this. If your loved one doesn't speak to you anymore and doesn't listen, maybe they're burnt through hearing too much truth in your relationship. Let's step away from such truth and start telling jokes and funny stories. Maybe Dr. Torsunov is right. Maybe they will indeed start talking again if we stop digging into every issue in the relationship. Stop clarifying relationships. Drop the need to be right. Show tolerance. Treat the other person with kindness. Keep things light. If your partner gets arrogant, pull back and keep distance. If they soften, come closer immediately. Forgive quickly. That's love. Forgive quickly. Never live with resentment. As soon as things ease up, forgive and let go. Be quick to forgive, to engage, to serve, and also be quick to distance yourself when something goes wrong. Be even quicker to reconnect when all starts to go well. Behave as if nothing happened. Only a light style makes that possible, because when you burned each other, then stayed at a distance for a long time, then froze at that distance, coldness settled in, love begins to die. Love is a relationship between two egos, or rather two dignities. Rule number 1, neither dignity should be overwhelmed. If a loved one becomes too brazen and pushy, take a step back and move away. If they behave well, step closer. That kind of rhythm. This movement is described in the scriptures. According to the Vedas, love is made of both meeting and separation. It's a river. The energy of love flows like a river. It flows inside a woman, and the man is the bank. When the river bends, a bad period comes for the banks. It's hard on the man. A bad period starts for him. Who do you think suffers more, someone who is married or someone who is not married? Of course, it will be easier for the single man. When the river bends, it weighs down on a man. A single man just bends himself. For a married man, the turn is difficult, and now his wife starts pressuring him too. He's already feeling low, and she puts even more pressure on him and throws tantrums. Ladies, don't push too hard, or the cat Vasya might not make it. Do you know the story? Cat Vasya fell into alcohol. His owner was an alcoholic. Now the owner is wondering how to squeeze the alcohol out of the cat without causing much harm. He must not squeeze too hard, or the cat will die. It's necessary to remove the alcohol without applying too much pressure, otherwise it's over. Some didn't seem to get the joke. Here's a Jewish joke. A woman's illness has 3 stages. The first stage, she's sick. Second stage, she's very sick. Third, she's a widow. The husband died and she's still sick. Men die earlier. They only get sick in intensive care. A woman has a very stable psyche of self-preservation. A man's psyche is built to protect women and children. That's why men die in war. They also die from stress and hypertension. When there's a conflict in the family, a woman preserves herself. She has internal built-in mechanisms for this. A man doesn't have such mechanisms. I once had a seminar in Moscow about men and how to help preserve them. We discussed why men die sooner. The answer is because they have no self-preservation mechanism. A man only gets sick in an intensive care unit, so who should look after a man to keep him healthy? A woman should. She has an inbuilt mechanism for this. She lives by caring for others' health and pain. She worries about her loved ones. She feels when something is wrong, when their loved ones are unwell, when they are struggling. Women have this mechanism inside, so please use it wisely. Sometimes a woman comes to me and says that her husband has died, and she feels that she contributed to his passing away. What should I tell her? Should I say, no, he just died? All right, my dears. So how to build relationships? A woman needs courage to be with a man. She needs to be very brave. She needs to be bold. Women often have one problem. They fear men. For some, it's a chronic fear. This fear ruins families. A man may seem rough, pushy, and rude. He may behave insistently and forcefully, but he doesn't notice it. He thinks everything is fine with him. He doesn't realize how inattentive he's being, how rude his behavior toward a woman is. Women understand what I'm talking about, because women are very personal beings. When a man comes home, he shouldn't look at the clock. He should look at his wife, directly into her eyes, ask how she's doing, how she feels about her life. A woman needs that look, a kind, sincere gaze. A man must be brave to speak like that, to look at her and say, my darling. A man needs to be very brave to say this. Why are you laughing? It's easy for a woman to say it, but not easy for a man. At our wedding, my wife's father stood up to give a speech. He stood up and sat right back down. My wife ran up to him and said, Daddy, you gave the best speech of all. It's true. It's hard for a man to say such words because the energy of love is a very complex energy for him. It's hard for him to say words like, you are the best for me, you are my most beautiful. But if this man adopts a light, easy, humble style, if he behaves kindly without arrogance, then it's easy for him to say, my darling, I'm glad to see you. If a man doesn't do this, it's very difficult and unpleasant for a woman to live with him because she invests in the relationship and he's like a wall. But a woman should learn to help him. She must kindly teach a man how to build relationships. She should do this very kindly. She should say gently, let's sit down. They sit down. Let's look into each other's eyes. He will ask, why? It's just like an old joke about Petka and Chapayev. Chapayev barges into Petka's place wearing muddy boots and says, I bought a new light bulb. He climbs on a stool in his muddy boots to change a light bulb. Everything around gets dirty because he didn't take off his boots. Petka says, Vasily Ivanovich, you could at least put down a newspaper. Chapayev replies, I can reach it anyway. That's men for you. See how they think? Notice the men aren't laughing. They don't get what's funny. But the women are laughing to tears. So how do things improve? A woman must explain. What does courage involve? Courage for a woman means learning to see the inner kindness inside a man. How to study this? At bedtime, a woman should sit down, stroke her husband's head, and look into his eyes. There is his inner part that brings happiness. She should look into his eyes and ask, how are you doing? Is everything okay? He will start saying something, and during this time, you look into his eyes kindly, study him, and try to understand his nature. This is how you tame him, through feeding him, speaking kindly, and stroking his head before sleep. Once you tame him this way, if he comes home tired from work and you hug him, you connect with his inner world. You recall what he's like after a good meal or right before sleep. That's your reference. If you remember him like this, he will immediately relax. This means you have tamed this male psyche. If a woman behaves properly with her husband, she always resolves all issues. This is because the man's outer energy layer is stingy, strict, rough, and violent. It pressures, torments, and creates chaos. But the inner structure is generous, kind, gentle, affectionate, caring, and faithful. There's a lot of good there. If you reach into your husband's heart, into his depth, you can find this goodness. The path to his inner depth is through feeding, because a man opens up from the inside through nutrition. Yesterday I gave an example of a tiger. Watch videos where people keep tigers, pumas, or lions. See how they behave with these animals. They say, oh, you're my good boy, and hug a tiger like a child. Outwardly, the animal looks fierce like a beast, but in reality, they kindly treat those people who have understood their inner nature. Once someone gets through to them, they will never hurt such a person, won't even scratch them. They behave very carefully, softly, and gently, but externally they still appear as beasts. I gave this example to explain how to behave with a man. Yesterday, someone told me that the animal will tear you apart anyway, sooner or later. That's your opinion. I'm talking now about men, not tigers. If you've reached a man's inner world and treat him properly, feed him well, you create a connection. Let's say you hire a housemaid and she cooks. You don't have time to cook. It would be better if she just cut everything and that's it. Wash the dishes and clean the house. That way everything is cut and ready for you. You would cook everything yourself in just 40 minutes and feed your husband personally. That's the best option if you have a housekeeper. But if you let her feed him, even if you cook the food yourself and just asked her to serve because you don't have time and have to go to work, then there is an issue. Who will your husband love, you or the housemaid? He will love the one who feeds him. I know a family where this is the case. A woman feeds the whole family, husband and wife included, and the husband constantly defends the cook. The wife has problems. She cannot resolve issues with him because the cook has gotten close to the husband's heart. It's good that she's older, but still she has gotten close. And it's now hard to resolve things with her because she established close contact with the husband, not the wife. That's why the wife should feed her husband. It's even better if she blesses the food. Because if she connects this food with God, the husband will grow spiritually.
How to bless food properly?
Basically, it means that you think about God while cooking. If you also place the food on a home altar, on small plates before eating, that's even better. By doing this, you are essentially expressing your final intention that this food belongs to God. Then when your loved one eats it, they become spiritualized. Their conscience takes the lead in life, not the back seat. This is a very big secret. You can solve many problems with blessed food. Even issues like alcoholism or debauchery can be solved with blessed food. Blessed food is a woman's secret weapon. Many women don't understand this at all. They're completely clueless. You can even bless food for a cat. If you bless the food and feed the cat, the animal will stop pooping on the pillow. Their conscience gets activated too. That's how it works.
Dr. Torsunov, what if I don't understand how this works?
All right, now you will understand. 4.5 years ago, you had a situation related to your activities. You wouldn't have been able to handle this situation yourself. God helped you. He just told me about it. Now, do you understand who God is? See, we figured it out very easily. All right, my dears, sometimes I have to do things like this, reveal my connections. What can I do? We are talking about relationships here, and now we have touched on a very important topic. The topic of establishing very close relationships with each other. I explained how to do this with a man. First, always see him as a person who knows, who carries knowledge. It doesn't matter how he speaks, this is simply a matter of respect for God. Respect him because God created man this way. Look at him with respect when he speaks. Listen with respect. Nod, supporting the knowledge he shares. Imagine God appeared in front of you. Would you argue with him? And a man is a representative of God, please understand that. It's like meeting an ambassador from a nuclear power and starting to argue with him. In response, missiles fly at you. An ambassador represents a whole country. Similarly, a man is a representative of God. That's why you shouldn't argue with him. The fundamental truth in a woman's life comes from the man. In the same way, a woman is a representative of God's spouse. That's why all happiness, prosperity, luck, love, and beauty come through respecting a woman. If you respect a woman, all of these will be present in your life: happiness, prosperity, luck, and beauty. Simply respect women. But which woman should you respect? Your neighbor or a colleague? God gave you your wife, so respect her. You need to respect your wife. So study this topic. The formula is respect plus close relationships with a man. How should you behave with a woman? You need to understand that a woman is like fire. According to the Vedas, a woman is a fire that can either destroy or bring happiness. This fire can kill or it can bring happiness. A woman consists of blessings and curses. A woman is an invisible energy of enormous power. She can take away lives. When people come to me asking whether someone will live or not, I look at what's going on with the woman nearby. I feel her energy. Death is an angel in a female body. If she comes to a person's bedside or stands nearby, no one will ever help this person. That's it. She has shown the truth. This is female energy. It's an insurmountable force. Birth is also female energy. A man doesn't give life to a child. A woman gives life to a child, and she also preserves this life afterward. The power of blessing from a person's earliest childhood is female energy, and the power of ending life is female energy too. Outwardly, a woman may seem very weak. She even may think she has no strength. But inside a woman there is a blessing or a cursing power. Women intuitively know this, especially women. That's why women fear other women much more than men do. If another woman appears in her husband's field of vision, it's terrifying. The wife doesn't know what to do. It's a huge, unstoppable force for her, this female energy. It's very dangerous. That's why if a man behaves carefully and gently with his wife, if he doesn't irritate her, doesn't try to humiliate her, doesn't try to treat her rudely, then everything gets resolved. First of all, everything is easily resolved. She starts to bless him and luck comes into his life. When I receive some funds, I try to use them in service to God. One day my wife came up to me and said, "Why are you making decisions on your own? We're a family. Let's decide together how to use the money in service to God." I replied, "I'm the one earning the money." She said, "Yeah, right," and just walked away. After that, everything started falling apart. All my projects failed. Money dried up. I complained to her, "Everything is falling apart for me." She said, "Exactly." I asked her, "What do you mean exactly?" She said, "I told God not to give you the energy of my blessing." So I said, "Okay, let's decide everything together." She showed me how it works, this invisible force. You don't see it. You think you're doing everything yourself, but it turns out there is a hidden force at work, and it brings blessings. So be careful, kind, and gentle with a woman. Then over time, she will agree with everything. Because gratitude must come from her heart, and when gratitude flows, things become easier for her. If you're kind, affectionate, and gentle, you'll resolve all issues with ease. Female energy has such a nature that if you behave carefully with it, it always brings you blessings and makes life easier for a man. But if you start applying pressure, insurmountable and dangerous influences awaken. It's especially dangerous for men who dare to abandon their wives, don't pay child support, beat women, commit violence against them, or rape. These actions awaken energies that are deeply dangerous and destructive. Women shouldn't worry about what will happen to a man who cruelly abandoned her and her children. She shouldn't worry about it at all. I'll explain how this all works. In this world, 3 goddesses rule. The first goddess is the wife of the Lord. When people serve God and live according to their conscience, then the wife of the Lord acts through the woman. This is the energy of luck. She makes everything work out in the family. Everything becomes good. All problems get solved. That means that if people are moving toward God, living according to their conscience, following divine commandments, then the energy of luck acts through the woman. The wife of God acts. The second force is the ruler of the universe, similar to a manager who controls everything here in the universe. In the Vedas, he is called Brahma. His wife is the goddess of knowledge. If a man tries very hard to fulfill his duties in the family, lives decently, works, earns money, contributes to society, and has an active social position, then Brahma's wife acts. Brahma's wife acts through the woman, who becomes the goddess of knowledge for her husband. She helps her husband understand things and figure things out. The energy of knowledge acts through her. But if a man commits sinful acts, treats a woman cruelly, behaves badly, and betrays her, there is another angel, also the destroyer of the universe, by the name of Shiva. His wife is called Parvati. One of her forms is called Kali. Kali is the form of the insurmountable power of curses. All curses act through her. If a man deeply offends a woman, betrays her, thinks that she won't do anything because she is powerless, if he thinks that he is the king here, then Kali awakens. This power of Kali begins to act through her, and his life turns into a very serious meat grinder. He might end up in prison, get an unexpected brain tumor, or die. Disasters descend upon him. It's dangerous to mess with women, full stop. But when a man understands this truth and treats a woman with ease and care, blessing forces begin to act through her. Life becomes smoother. Everything works out in his life, his work, his relationships with colleagues, everything improves. All this depends on the relationship with the woman. If a man is noble, if he behaves kindly and gently and gives a woman the space to be capricious, lazy, or silly, while remaining calm and not paying much attention, then life runs smoothly. A woman's life is a life of enjoyment. God arranged it so that if a woman is happy, a man will also be happy. If a woman feels good, a man also feels good. He instantly feels relaxed. When a woman is in a good mood, he feels good too. If a woman is in a good mood, then the children feel good. Is the dog happy too?
Yes.
Are the cockroaches happy? Everyone in the house is happy because she fills the home with the energy of happiness, and everyone who is in the house feels good. This is female energy. Happiness is female energy in the house. A man is happy when his wife is happy, but she feels bad. If her mood is bad, he walks around her asking, "What's wrong? Why are you upset?" Because he feels it too. Everyone does. Now, if a man is in a bad mood, does a woman walk around him asking, "What's wrong?" No, she doesn't care. She goes on with her day and lets him sit there and sulk. What should you do during this time?
What should men do?
What to do? You need to go to the store and buy a rope and a bar of soap.
I knew it.
My dears, I've been telling you for half the lecture that there is a thing called self-sufficiency. When a woman is in a bad mood, it's time for you to go outside for a run, talk to friends, pray, learn to be self-sufficient. My dear friends, remember, if you constantly depend on each other and on each other's mood, you will never be happy. Learn to serve your loved one without becoming dependent on them. Because dependency destroys everything. In Vedic terms, this is attachment, meaning that you depend on the energy of your loved one like an addict. Instead, you should serve them. When you serve your loved one, there is no dependency. If you are attached and dependent, it means you haven't served enough. If you have truly served your loved one with kindness, even if they leave you, you won't die of heartbreak. Some people hang themselves. You will simply realize, it's better together, but I will survive. It's important to learn how to handle the energy of love properly. People are either slaves to this energy of love or masters of it. What do you think? Is God a slave to the energy of love or its master? Master. He loves his wife, but he can also be apart from her. He is the master, and everyone should live like that. We should follow this example. We should learn to be self-sufficient. There is one formula by which undeveloped people live, and another formula by which the developed live. Developed people take from God, nature, and good people and give to their loved ones. Undeveloped people always try to extract from each other, and they end up with nothing. Because you cannot extract love from your loved one. Love can't be extracted. You can only receive it in the form of gratitude. When the person feels gratitude and the time is right, they will give it to you freely. If you have never reached the stage of gratitude, you will never feel truly loved, because there are stages in a relationship. The first stage is called acceptance. It can last for years. If you've gotten used to your loved one, like one man I know, who came to his mentor and said, "I've already accepted everything about my wife. I agree with everything now. Maybe I should join a monastery. I don't expect anything from her anymore." The man asked his mentor, "Should I go to a monastery? What's next for me? I don't want to cheat. Should I become a monk?" The mentor replied, "No, only now will your happy family life begin, because the first stage has been passed. This stage is called acceptance. You don't expect anything from your loved one, yet you still want to help them." You're looking at me like I'm a new gate. Do you know where this came from? Animals understand everything by color. Imagine this. Sheep were taken out to graze, and while they're gone, the shepherd painted the gate a different color. The sheep returned and saw the house, but the gate was different. So they just stood there, not going in and just staring. Okay, you didn't get it, so I'll tell another joke. A drug addict is walking and repeating, "First entrance, 5th floor, apartment 25. He rings the bell. A man opens the door and asks, "Who are you looking for?" The addict replies, "This is my apartment." "No, this is my apartment," the man says, and shuts the door. The guy walks outside again and checks the address. He rings again. The same man opens. "What are you doing here?" The addict says, "This is my apartment." "No, this is my apartment." The third time, the addict circles the block, then tries again. He rings the bell. The same man opens and says, "I'm tired of you." The addict says, "Man, you live everywhere. I don't live anywhere, and you live everywhere." Now back to the point. The first stage is acceptance. This can last a long time, but when you no longer expect anything from your loved one and begin to help them, that's respect. So the next stage is developing respect, so that contact can happen, so that love can flow. Please remember that. Then comes the next stage, gratitude. When gratitude arises and you continue doing everything right, the energy of love finally starts to flow. Finally, everything is flowing and life begins to improve. After this comes the next stage, which is sincerity or happiness in family life. This is the sequence: first acceptance, then respect, then gratitude, and then sincerity or happiness. Every person must go through this path. The path of establishing loving relationships. If you haven't gone through it, there won't be love, just suffering. So how should a man behave with a woman in a relationship? He should treat her softly, kindly, and lightly. She will be harsh and throw tantrums, but he should pay no attention and remain like a riverbank that can't be eroded by water. Water flows, splashes, bubbles, and foams. If you try to suppress your wife, she will only bubble more fiercely. A woman's desires don't go away because you restrict her. A woman is designed in such a way that, in principle, her desires don't go away. A woman will eventually fulfill her desire, earlier or later, but it never passes. It stays. Men's desires fade. Let's say I want something and my wife says, yes, 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 we'll do it. She has no intention of doing it. She just stalls and then forgets. Ladies, hands up if you have done this. Women know that this can happen. Now, if a man stalls, will his wife forget? No, she won't. She doesn't have the ability to forget. Her mind is structured that way. So if you try to restrict the flow of the river, what happens? It begins to bubble, erode the banks, destroy everything in its path. Therefore, the banks should be wide enough, but not too wide, because the river spreads out and goes away, dries up, and the entire flow becomes shallow. So you need to choose the right measure, how much restriction to apply. Let's say you put a dam across the river. What happens next? The river fills up and builds pressure. Then what? It overflows, meaning it does things its own way. The second option is that it destroys the dam, which is dangerous. Or it can simply go around. If the dam is higher than the banks, it simply leaves and flows away in another direction, away from the husband. Therefore, a dam is not an option. You cannot dam the river. Instead, you shape the right attitude toward her desires. Let's say your wife wants a 4-room apartment. You take a huge mortgage for a 4-room apartment, work 3 jobs, and die. Men, did you notice the women's reaction? They're laughing. Dear men, you understand their reaction correctly. Don't do it that way. So how should you approach it? You need to understand that your wife wants a 4-room apartment. Wonderful. That means you should aim for this goal. Show her that you're genuinely striving toward it, but take on only as much burden as you can realistically carry, and you work accordingly. That work must be balanced, allowing for the rest. A woman wants a man to work more. She has a built-in reflex to bite his head off at the moment of his greatest happiness, like a female praying mantis. So for men, it's better to be aware of this female reflex and aim to work in a way that doesn't harm their health, while still striving toward the goal that matters to their wife. And not die in the process, and live happily. That's important. There's a quality in women that neither women nor men realize. If a woman sees that a man truly wants to help her fulfill her desires, she can wait. She can wait calmly and happily. This ability to wait is highly developed in women. In men, it's less developed. In women, it's excellently developed. If a man promises a woman something, she can wait. Now let's talk about words and responsibility. When a woman speaks, it doesn't necessarily mean anything, neither to her nor to the man. That's how words are structured. Now when a man speaks, can he just say something like, I'll give you diamond earrings, for example? Can he just say that casually or not? He can, but he will create a problem, because the woman will come back and say, but you said so. Men's words materialize, they have power. Women's words don't. That's why a woman can say something, then change her mind, and not feel conflicted. She has no issues with words, but men should be careful about what they say. If a man said something, it means he'll have to do it. A woman should use that to her advantage. I hope I don't need to explain male and female duties to you. Does a woman have an obligation to work? Why does she work? She gets tired at home. It's difficult for her at home. She needs to release that tension. Some women go to lectures or take courses to relieve tension. Others prefer to work. Some go to the theater or the cinema. Every woman chooses her own way. Some women need to work because they haven't yet developed as women. If a woman is developed, then her husband works, and she decides for herself whether or not she wants to work. That means a man doesn't need to be running around the kitchen, cooking, washing, and cleaning. He is not obligated to. But if he is not developed enough to have a wife, then he will have to wash, clean, cook. Otherwise, he will simply live in filth. This means that there are direct responsibilities and indirect ones, and everyone should be able to fulfill their own. Don't fall into thinking that I mainly work, while the man mainly cooks. Now, the food a man prepares, what is it filled with? It is filled with the energy of strength. But the energy of strength is not what a family needs. A family needs the energy of love. When a woman works, what kind of money does she bring home? She brings in hot money. This money destroys life. When a woman works, she brings hot money. When a man cooks, he doesn't create any love. Life becomes very sad. A man cannot properly nourish through food, and a woman cannot properly earn. A process of destruction begins.
Why does a man think that a woman should work?
Well, it means a woman hasn't reached deep enough into his heart. There is not enough love, affection, tenderness. It means that the man is not in the zone of generosity, but in the zone of stinginess. Both women and men can exist in the zone of stinginess. If a man doesn't pay attention to a woman, doesn't speak tenderly to her, doesn't give her gifts, and doesn't make her happy, then she lives in the zone of stinginess. She doesn't want to do laundry, clean, or cook. She feels a strong aversion to the household chores. Even if she forces herself, she becomes extremely tired and eventually falls ill. But if a man treats her with tenderness and affection all the time, then she herself wants to cook, do laundry, and clean. She feels happy doing housework. She experiences happiness living in this house. If a woman treats a man with respect, he enters the zone of generosity. He wants to earn money, to offer his life to her, to act responsibly, and to grow. But if she constantly nags him, he starts walking around like he's cursed, ashamed, broke, miserable, unsuccessful. That's how female energy works. Any questions? Questions about the lecture, please.
What if a person lives alone and doesn't have the chance to build a family?
Then why did they come to a lecture about family relationships?
Is it impossible for them to develop properly as a woman or a man? Or is there some other way?
Yes, it's possible. There are two types of people. Some should strive to live in a family, and others should strive to give their life to God. In fact, all people on earth should know that those people who strive toward God form a vast family. People who live in passion or chase success are not united with each other. They all have transactional relationships. People who live in degradation just want to have fun, drink, and party. They are not united either. They don't form a family. Only believers, spiritual people, form a family. They have mentors. They have both spiritual fathers and spiritual children. These are called spiritual father and spiritual son. People who strive toward God form deep, close relationships. So someone who doesn't have a family can still become part of a spiritual family and feel truly fulfilled. Any woman, for example, can feel protected, cared for, and supported within a spiritual family. Even someone who is divorced should still seek out those who engage in spiritual practice, because her children without a father will be under the supervision of elders and mentors. So it's not true that if you don't have a husband or wife, you must live a lonely life. Loneliness means life in passion or degradation. Once a person begins to engage in spiritual practice, loneliness immediately disappears. Loneliness means a person is not moving towards selfless, pure, elevated relationships. Only selfless, pure, and elevated relationships can give a person the true feeling of family and lasting happiness in close relationships. Self-interest cannot create a family. Once I visited a Western country. There was a husband and wife who welcomed me as a lecturer, as an elder. After living with them for several days, I discovered that they had no real relationship. They had been living together for many years only because they shared a home and didn't want to sell the house. They simply wanted to live in a big, beautiful house in nature with a large amount of money invested in it. If they divorced, they would no longer have that opportunity. They would barely be able to afford an apartment each. So instead, they chose to live in this big, beautiful house with great possibilities. And for the sake of this house, they simply lived together like strangers. One had some women, the other had other men. That's the kind of family I encountered. Do you think these people were happy? No. Why? Because there are no honest relationships. There is no conscience in that family. Remember, only conscience, only divine life according to God's commandment brings true happiness to a person. Everything else brings no happiness at all. If, for example, you have a man who lives with another woman, with his wife, and you have sex with him and think that this is happiness, then you are mistaken. People often don't understand what happiness truly is. Bodily pleasure is not happiness. For example, if you are full, does that mean you are happy? No, it's just peace. You've eaten and become calm. If you have a cozy apartment or a house, does that mean you are a happy person? No, you have peace. You live peacefully. If you've had great sex, is that happiness? No, you've simply calmed down. You feel peace, not happiness. So what is happiness? Happiness is when there are pure, elevated relationships, when there is friendship, when life has depth, when there is contact with nature. That is also happiness. It's not just peace. What about running under the sun? Many people don't know what the sun truly is. They walk beneath and feel no happiness. Today I was running and feeling your Rostov sun. It's so pure, bright, light, and beautiful. I ran under it and I felt good. Water is very healing, very kind. I experienced happiness from nature, from people who were laughing nearby. I fed them and they were happy. That too is happiness. An exchange of energy. That exchange is also happiness. Happiness only exists in a spiritual environment. Then there are human needs. Needs for food, sleep, comfort, and sex. These are just needs. When those needs are satisfied, we experience peace. For example, if a tiger has eaten a lamb, is the tiger happy? No, it's simply calm. It lies down, sleeps, growls. It's not happy, it's just calm. Happiness is the destiny only of those people who live according to conscience. These people experience a deep feeling. If you are not faithful to your husband, there will be no happiness. Having sex with someone else and thinking that you have happiness, no, that's not happiness, it's just peace. Happiness comes when you live a pure, bright life. That is happiness. Strive for happiness, my dears. It is happiness that leads a person to heaven or to the spiritual world, and the pursuit of all these lower things leads a person to hell. The purpose of human life is happiness, not just peace. Strive for real, pure relationships, and for that, you need to preserve the family, not abandon your loved one. There is no happiness in infidelity, only in faithfulness. God gave you a person. God holds you as a couple. That connection, that thread, was not created by you. It was created by God. Why do I say, for example, that in about 8 months you could get married? Because in 8 months, God will create a thread for you with someone. God will tie you to someone. I see that He is doing this.
And what about the previous thread?
You don't need to break it. It will never break. You simply need to turn it into a pure memory, that's all, like the past. Can you break away from your past lives? No. You simply treat them as pure, bright memories, as a good attitude toward the past. A good, pure attitude. There are desires, and then there is purity. These are different things.
You say that God gives a man and a thread, a connection. But what if you tell me that it won't work out with this man? What then?
Yes, there is also something called an insurmountable force. Let's say God connected you, but not for happiness, but for severe punishment. It's like a worm that a fish eats and enjoys the taste of this worm that falls into the water. Earthworms often crawl into water, and fish eat them. They like the taste. But sometimes the worm comes with a hook. It seems delicious, but it's actually a force that takes away your life. There's nothing you can do about it.
Is this punishment?
Yes, most often it's for promiscuity in a past life. That means if you lived incorrectly, you are punished with a man who cannot bring you happiness, and the best decision is to end the relationship with him, otherwise you'll end up on the hook.
Even if he does everything, tries and treats me with respect?
Try it. You'll get a headache again. You'll feel bad.
I can't even talk to him on the phone. I get terrible headaches.
Here's a mandarin for you, so that you find your real husband who will bring you happiness, not suffering.
What if a man and a woman have switched places? The woman has become the banks, and the man has become the water. How do you fix this?
It's not a big deal. Keep living together, and gradually everything will fall back into place. The woman will develop as a woman, the man will develop as a man, and the balance will return.
Is this if both want to change?
No, even if just one wants it. That's the essence of my lecture. Don't think that both must want it. Start with yourself. If you want it, the other person will also begin to change through love. Love itself transforms everyone around you. Do you think it's the lecture or this knowledge that changes you? No, it's my desire to help you that changes you. You understand? Love changes people.
Please give me advice on what I need to change or improve to meet a good husband. I've been divorced for a long time and still can't seem to build a relationship.
There is a concept called human dignity. When a woman is dignified, she becomes very beautiful and influential. She can find a good husband. When a man is dignified, he can find a beautiful woman. Dignity is nourished by the energy of God. There are 3 types of energy. The first is the energy of nature. It builds dignity and makes a person cheerful and happy. There is the energy of good people. When you love others and have friends, it builds social strength. This social strength allows you to withstand blows from some people and attract certain other people. Social strength attracts strength. There is dignity that is formed as a result of contact with God or prayer. This kind of dignity gives you an insurmountable force of influence on people, meaning you have enormous energy and you are able to overcome fate. You become a very strong person. So connection with God makes you dignified, powerful, and respected by everyone. Love for people makes a person influential. You can find yourself a husband, a wife, a job, whatever you want, and love for nature makes a person deeply happy. These 3 energies affect dignity. When a woman is happy, loves people very much, and loves God, then it's not difficult to turn a man's head, because a woman acts as an insurmountable force. A man thinks he is the strongest. Once there was a brave captain. He traveled to many countries and sailed the oceans. He nearly drowned 15 times and survived sharks, but not once did he even blink an eye. But one day, the The captain was in a distant land, and he fell in love, like a boy. He blushed and turned pale, but didn't dare to smile even once. Captain smiled. So no matter how strong a man is, a woman can knock him off his feet with her feminine power, and that power must be developed, my dear. Your problem is that you are waiting. You shouldn't wait. You should build your dignity and your strength. There are two types of women, those who wait and those who build strength. Those who build strength sweep men off their feet. The ones who wait end up with nothing. You understand? Women, you have two options, to wait or to learn to live correctly. If you live correctly, your feminine essence becomes strong, insurmountable, irresistible, and attracts the right person to you. Right now, you are not in that state. You don't have a strong position. Your position is weak. You lack social strength. You lack the energy of nature. You have a bit of spiritual strength, but not enough of others. You lack overall strength.
Is it an automatic process that a man is attracted?
Yes, it happens automatically. A woman becomes strong. Just as a man becomes strong, a woman is naturally drawn to him. Love is the energy of strong people. Weak people cannot handle love. They suffer from love. They are tormented by it. Strong people, on the other hand, rejoice in love and experience happiness from it. You should become strong. Love exists between two dignities. Human dignity always lives in connection with something. It doesn't exist by itself. It needs the energy of nature. Then a person becomes cheerful. Today you went into the water and started shaking there, remember? What did I do? I started singing songs, and then you started singing too. I was enjoying the energy of the water, and you were shaking from it. That means you lacked the strength to love water. I had enough strength. That was the difference. I was running, enjoying the energy of the air, while you were crawling along and trying to squeeze something out of yourself, feeling completely miserable. I was just laughing and enjoying the energy of the air, the sun, nature, and showing you an example. That's why examples come into our lives, to show us how to live correctly on this earth. To live filled with happiness, truly.
Dr. Torsunov, what you have just described reflects our family's situation very closely. The fact is, I have been plagued by financial failures for many years. I've tried to run a business for a long time, but nothing works.
You have one problem. Your Jupiter is afflicted. This means you're not suited to invest money or grow a business on your own. You are capable of organizing a process. You are well suited for working and communicating with people. You can even manage finances correctly, but you cannot understand where to develop the business. You don't know how to invest wisely or recognize good deals. This is a matter of bad fate. And if you don't have someone by your side who has the intuition to make the right decisions, then you will keep facing failures. Because you get too carried away, you take money. You take on projects and start moving them in the wrong direction. Everything falls apart because of that. You simply don't have this kind of knowledge. If you allow yourself to be guided by people who do know how to do things correctly, you will succeed.
I want to add that my wife earns more than I do.
Exactly. She's that kind of person. If you follow her advice in business, you will be successful. You are opposites. She has strong intuition. She always knows where to invest, and she never fails. She handles money carefully. Unlike you. If she tells you something and you listen, you will succeed. God connects people correctly, but people often misuse these energies. Men especially tend to be overconfident in relationships with women. For example, I am never overconfident. If my wife tells me something, even if it seems absurd to her, I still listen to her, and gradually I understand the deeper meaning behind her words. A wife always tells her husband what he doesn't want to hear. It seems foolish to him. In reality, it's not foolish. It's God acting through her heart. Your wife has told you the right things many times. You just didn't listen to her because you thought you knew better. But a wife is the heart of her husband. I never disregard my wife's words. When she says something, I start thinking seriously about it. And this most often always leads to a good result, even when it initially seems like nonsense.
Dr. Torsunov, I have another question. In my previous work, I communicated and collaborated with influential people connected to power. Now I'm afraid there might be negative consequences from that.
No. You simply don't understand how power works in this world. The structure of power is determined not by people or conspiracies, but by God. How does it really work? God creates threads of trust between people. They find people they can trust. And from these threads of trust, the structure of power is built. The structure of power is always the greatest temptation. Many people cannot withstand this temptation, and they end up in prison because of it. They steal, they abuse their positions of power, and so on. But the structure of power itself is made of threads connected to God. Even when God gives a ruler who brings suffering to people, it's because the people deserve that ruler. This is how fate works. That's why those in power and those who have authority should be respected, not because they are greedy or deceivers or bribe takers or commit actions that destroy other people's businesses or behave like pirates, but because God gave them power and placed them there. They should be respected because God gave them this power. If you treat them with respect, they won't harm you. They cause trouble for those who don't respect them because you rebel against God's will. If God gave someone authority, that's it. Respect this person. It's not your business to challenge that. A man came to me once. He was the director of a large holding company with many subsidiaries. He told me, "They want to imprison me because I'm against the policies of the central management. I have a lot of experience. I know what's right." And I said, "So what have you started doing? You started undermining the management. Had the management fallen as a result of your actions, thousands of people would have suffered. They would have lost their jobs. New leadership would have come that doesn't understand the system. Chaos would have followed." I told him, "God punished you for this." He said, "Oh, I understand everything now, Dr. Torsunov." I explained everything to him, how God appoints people everywhere, how these threads of trust are formed. He asked, "What should I do now? I don't want to go to prison. I understand everything. I regret attacking the leadership." You know, in countries that destroy their leadership, chaos always ensues. Some people think that revolution is the best way to resolve issues with authority. In 1917, there was a revolution. What followed? 50 years of war. In 1905, there was a revolution, followed by wars until the 1950s. Why? Because this is the wrong way to solve problems. They took the wrong path. They should have preserved the Tsarist regime. It would have corrected itself, and everything would have worked out. Instead, they chose a path of revolutions, overthrows, and violence. Ukraine did the same, revolutions again instead of solving the issues, and now people are suffering. So be very careful with authority, because it's the energy of God. Don't think, "We'll overthrow everything here now." This is very dangerous thinking. He asked me, "What should I do?" I said, "Let's pray." He came to the retreat, prayed sincerely. Then he asked me, "What now?" I said, "That's it. You've prayed through the situation. You have done your part." A few minutes later, he gets a call from his boss who asks, "How are you doing?" He said, "I understand now. I realized that I shouldn't have acted that way." And that boss replied, "That's it. Come back to work. There won't be a trial." That's it. The situation ended. The Lord simply resolved everything. Pray. Everything will end. Your struggle isn't with people, it's with God. This insurmountable pressure you feel is the power of God, not people. Pray. Stop being a rebel. Don't destroy everything around you, and immediately this force will stop affecting you. Agreed? Everything can be resolved very easily. Next question, sir. I'm grateful to you for walking and running with us.
My son was convicted and received a long sentence. He has already served half of his term. He still has 8 years left. The trial was rushed and biased.
Yes, that happens.
Now my son is asking to replace his prison sentence with participation in combat operations.
No, don't let him. Pray instead. Don't let him go. He will die there, 100%. He will go there and die within 2 months.
I will tell him.
Tell him everything.
But he is very determined. It's very difficult to convince him.
Tell him something else. Tell him that according to his fate, he won't be in prison for another 8 years. He will only be there for 1.5 years.
Thank you.
You need to pray more for him. According to his fate, there aren't 8 more years. Maximum 1.5 years remains, and that's it. I can see your son. He committed a crime that merited prison, but they gave him a longer sentence to cover for others. I see this whole situation. This came from your fate and his fate from your past lives. This didn't come from this life. You both inherited it, but he has already served his time. He has almost worked off his bad fate. If he now goes to participate in combat operations, he will be killed violently, and he will go to heaven. Do you want him to go to heaven?
I want him to live.
If you want him to live, pray that he doesn't go. Pass on my words, he will hear them. Your question.
Hello, Dr. Torsunov. Thank you for today's swimming experience in the river. It was very energetic. I'd like to ask about my situation. No matter how hard I try, we develop a relationship like a mother and a son. I'm not happy about that at all. I quit my job. I'm trying not to make decisions.
Are you older than your husband?
Yes,
By how much?
by 13 years.
You don't need to worry about anything. In a year and a half, this relationship will end.
Why?
I mean, mother-son, because your husband will become stronger and he will become stronger than you in a year and a half. He will behave like a man. And you will soften up anyway. But if you behave kindly, affectionately, and listen to his opinion, he will mature faster. Otherwise, in a year and a half, he will mature on his own. He won't leave you, don't worry, he's a very loyal person. I'm just saying the mother-son relationship will end.
Great.
What else do you want to hear from me?
We were planning to have a child.
You need to do it faster. If it doesn't work out naturally, try IVF. I would also recommend you to do all healing practices according to my method.
I see. Good.
You wouldn't have been able to be with a man who is older and stronger than you. You are very stubborn. That's why God gave you a younger husband, because you have no other options.
I'm not chasing after some other option.
All right, excellent. Then have a tangerine. Thank you very much. I wish you all peace, happiness, love, and health, all the brightest things in your life. To learn more on the subject of health and healing of the body, please make sure to read my health guide, available for download on my YouTube channel or on my Instagram page. Thank you very much, and see you soon.